Okay.
Hi, sisters. Hi, everybody. How is everybody doing? How is
Hey.
everybody feeling?
Fantastic. Great.
Fantastic is good. Great is good.
Mhm.
I'm doing pretty good myself. What I want to talk about is parents listening to their children. Why should parents listen to their children? And here's why. Here's my intro into why. I remember as a child, I felt that I was not heard by my parents. I was blessed to have an auntie who was like unto a mother to me, who was very close to my mother, who was a sister. So thank God she listened. However, if your mother and your father is there, you need them to listen to you. Children need to be heard by their parents because those are the first people in line for their welfare, for their comfort, for their teaching, for their needs, their caregiver. Also, children need to know that their words, their cares, their concerns, their thoughts, their questions, their inquiries, anything pertaining to them, their needs and their thoughts, they need to know that those things are important. Whereby, if a parent isn't showing that it's important, who's the next adult in line? In my case, it was my aunt and my uncles. Um, then who's next in line at the parents? That would be teachers. Children need to be heard by their parents. So that's very important. I believe that it builds self-esteem in those children. I believe that that line of communication builds a closeness and a trust with the parent and the child. And because I believe that, because of what I thought I lacked as a child, and don't get me wrong, please, my mother worked hard to raise her children and to take care of her household.
Mhm.
I guess each generation should improve, which is my point, because although I felt that way and I thought that I was giving my children my ear, and I did, but when they became young adults, they let me know that, yeah, you had our ear, we had your ear, but not well enough. And they pointed out things to me that affected them because they did not feel heard enough. From their perspective, everyone has one.
Mhm.
So, yes, that is the reason why I want to talk about children being heard and how important that is to them. So it did improve in the next generation, and then they're having to improve it in their generation. I want to ask you all, do you think it can go too far? I'm thinking that it can.
Yes.
There
Yeah,
has to be a balance in everything.
Yeah.
exactly.
So
And two,
I
when
go
you
on.
when you speak, yeah, it definitely has to be a balance, but it has to be a season for a reason for the seasons. You know how old folks used to say children should be seen and not heard, and I think what they really meant, it wasn't that children shouldn't be able to speak, but it's just knowing when. So while we're pushing them into this frame of mind, we should also remember to that there are guidelines to everything. There's to teach them to be more procedural minded. So because the opinion may matter, but maybe not in this at this time. Maybe not in this conversation, which probably you shouldn't even be in the conversation anyway, because you are a child. But I think it's more hear their voice, but teach them that there's a time and a place.
And
Yeah.
Okay.
the way my mother used to always say, it's not what you do, but how you do it. So we teach them that too. And as parents, I think we should listen to understand instead of listening to respond. We do a lot of that. I still do a lot of that, and I had to stop myself. I listen, but I'm listening to find out when I can jump in and debunk or whatever or correct or whatever instead of listening to understand. and then respond if I have a response. And I agree with you,
Yeah.
Ada. Listening to our children, it does build their self-esteem. It helps to make them all the positive things like uh, confident, being independent, and it
Yes.
even helps with their
Yes.
attention span, believe it or not. And it changes their behavior. And if we don't listen to our children, they will find somebody else to hear them. And
Yes.
they will.
Exactly. And that
And
can be
I also
very
want to
dangerous.
add, because you asked a few minutes ago, can we take it too far? Yes, everything can be taken too far. You said that there should be a balance, and I agree with you.
And also, I think as a parent, when you're listening to your child or children, you need to stop what you're doing because we get so busy in our day to day, and we're meeting demands, from our jobs and other things, the other children, our spouses, whatever else we're involved in. And so we have to learn how to actively listen. And so I think I referred to this once before. I had told my daughter, she said, well, you're not listening to me. I said, well, when you want to talk to me, get my attention because I'm kind of all over the place. So she would just put her hand to my face. And I knew then that I needed to stop what I was doing because whatever she was getting ready to say, she felt it was important enough to have my full attention, not partial attention, but my full attention. And they deserve that.
Yeah.
Now, as far as can we take it
Attention
too
is
far,
very important.
I know I'm kind of old school with certain things, and it just it bothers me when a child will just jump into a conversation that they're not a part of. If two adults are talking, you know, you should not just invite yourself in
Yeah.
that conversation
Now
unless
that's
somebody
another
calls
topic.
you
But
by
Whole
name.
other topic. That's another topic.
But you
Yeah.
ask, could it go too far? That's when I think it goes too far.
Exactly. That's a good example of it going too far. Yeah.
Yeah.
And another
I'm gonna add
good
to it,
thing
but I'm
about
gonna stop.
our children, another good thing about listening to our children is that that gives us the opportunity to see how they express themselves, and we can critique them and how they express themselves. And I'd like to add that game time, family game time, that helps with expression, that helps with the listening, and helping to build our children's self-esteem through listening. Because with active listening, that was a great example that you gave, Jamila. And also, sometimes you should repeat to your children,
Mhm.
I hear you saying such and this and that, or are you saying such and this and that? Repeat to them to make sure that you understand what they're saying, or and that they know that you're listening,
Mhm.
and they know that what they have to say is important, if it's right or wrong. And how else can you correct someone for them if they don't know that you heard them?
Mhm.
Mhm. Good point.
Good point.